It was a day of reckoning, a 1v8 as Mad Eyes on Leo's memory, all culminating in a result that was less than satisfactory to me. As I approached that gate, I knew that only one thing could be possible, that all 6 of them would be waiting there. Look at them taunting, throwing dark matter into my face. And all who remained was a single puppeteer, dancing, toying with his newfound tool. And all I could do was repeatedly hit him, until he eventually left the gates. It was therefore my utmost concern to become the greatest Mad Eyes player the world has ever known, in order to avoid scenarios such as this once again. And only then could I have my revenge. Today's lesson is in perseverance, where the P stands for the petrification of all hubris. For my adversaries were typing in unknown scriptures which I could not seem to translate properly. Or maybe they were too powerful to be understood in the first place, even if it was in the right language. Regardless, I knew both the odds and the evens were stacked against me, as the survivors were already disrupting my consoles across the map, and saying that I did not give them permission to access my consoles. This fulfills one of the 2 things Mad Eyes does not like, which means I'm angry. It was then I thought, what was the point of doing all of this? But then I remembered that today's lesson was perseverance, and pushed on forward. That's right, my friends. Sometimes, in order to persevere, you need to teach people how to persevere. Perseverance is like setting a goal for 17 Oreos in one day. Then, once you reach that number, but still have the capacity to do more, do you continue? Or do you suddenly lose the will to continue as you have reached your goal, even if you have the capacity to continue? About 1 minute and 15 seconds into the chase, we begin the first game. Or, if you would prefer to call it the other way, we begin the first chase 1 minute and 15 seconds into the game. There was no need to use impulsive, as we had Blink to secure the first hit of the game. Or, I should say, the first normal attack of the game, as we have already hit the Embalmer with 1 wall previously on our map controlling journey. But ignore the game for a second, and think about the fundamentals of what it means to persevere. We have not even gotten a single down yet within the time we've been in this experience together, and yet so much has happened beneath the stars of destiny. Here is our reading from the Oreo text 112, Johame of the Southern Gold. His righteous hand descended upon the unknown bequeath of those among the fallen. Touch not gold without the will to hold, his voice bellowed the deeps of Orion mine. The chosen could not choose how one's fate would transpire beneath his will, but all knew that their possessions would not be vindicated, and then they were free. Freedom? But how free are we if we are but camels of others' gold? They said. They must carry their will and their soul to see how their aspirations hold the truth that lies within. But the only truth that the time told was that it was in fact gold from unknown territories, and gold they could not carry without seemingly endless will. But then came old Long John, an elderly fellow who would bellow on the city streets his old prophecies and news stories. His time in the present was in fact the most deserving of appraisal, as he bequeathed the ideological crusader of obtaining will through one's soul, the creation of perseverance. I think this section is very important, as those people in Oreo mine, the unknown bequeath of those among the fallen, were unable to carry the gold without perseverance. But after being taught the ways, they were able to successfully carry the gold out of Orion mine, and their soul saw how their operations hold the truth that lies within. And all it took was that perseverance, that same perseverance, in order to get our first opponent on the chair. If we had not persevered, we would have already surrendered, even though I'm not particularly sure if the surrender option was available this early into the match, but I would have surrendered in the soul. And that's all that matters, really. As you can see, I employ the pause the game then unpause tech in order to hit the person on the chair. This allowed for the patient to successfully hook over the obstacle and rebound kite me, and caused me to fail a blink, except he also failed the vault, resulting in a canceling out of both extremities at the same time. I believe this brings us straight into lesson 2 of perseverance. And it is this part of the lesson that I want to focus on in particular, as there is a specific exception case to this rule. If you are old and unable to fold, then there is no reason to not persevere, as you have already held gold, as you would say in the past tense, for your entire life, and therefore should already have the capability of persevering. I think this focus on the elderly is very important when learning about perseverance, as they are the references, they are the pillars that can help us understand the true meaning of perseverance and how to succeed in scenarios that seem hopeless to us. It's like if you used to eat 7 Oreos a day for your whole life, but then at the age of 94 could only eat 6 Oreos a day. You were no longer able to hold the Oreos, but you still persevered after all. And it is now your responsibility to teach the youth how to endure the same challenges you had in your youth. So we have the responsibility to persevere and the duty to persevere. But how do we persevere when those things are not pertinent to our current situation? I think in order to answer that question, we need to look into ourselves and find where's the true Oreo in all of us. For the Oreo man ate his dinner finale at the old barn in the town of Hot Winter. He sat with his friends and offered an Oreo of himself into the air, holding it with particular pertinence. Take this, my followers, for this is the Oreo of my body. He then sat down and put another Oreo, this time from the soul, and mixed its cream into a goblet of purity and offered it the same. Take this, my followers, for this is the Oreo of my blood. When the Oreo man ate his dinner finale, he found it hard to persevere. But when he looked within himself, he found the Oreo of the body and the blood within him, and was able to show that to the people around him. So when you persevere, sometimes it's not always about persevering for duty or for responsibility, but for yourself. The innate being of the Oreo within all of us is the true cause and the true guidance that allows us to persevere even in the most dire circumstances. As you can see in the match, I was attempting to deal 1/4 of the maximum health to the dancer by putting walls in inconvenient locations. However, she proved too nimble and effortlessly avoided all of them. I could have lost hope. I could have chose not to persevere, but the opportunity arose when I looked within myself and exited the menu to find a forward right in front of me. You could even look at it from a map control perspective. Yes, the strivers could hack your consoles and reduce them to 0 energy, causing you not to be able to use them for the uses that you would wish to use them for. But by the power of perseverance, you survive and thrive throughout the days and nights, and see how the energy recharges over time, allowing you to use them once again for all the purposes that you would once have used them for in the past. And now you can use them in the present, and potentially the future, should you persevere even more. It is also perseverance that guided me to see that the forward did not have borrowed time, allowing him not to resurrect at the activation of the exit gates, making it a significantly simpler endgame for me to handle. As you can see, if I did not have perseverance, I would have gave up long ago. When things are free, there are up to 3 opportunities for you to obtain such a free thing. And it's all the same when the Oreos that are free both in the body and the blood, which you could obtain right now if you just look into yourself and persevere. It's like if you looked into yourself and found out that you ate 3 Oreos a day, but were unable to eat 4, but you found a free Oreo inside of yourself, which allows you to eat the 4th one for the day. And now witness my amazing endgame, as the embalmer appears to have put himself into a precarious scenario with the coffin, and as his flywheel successfully evades my attack, it will be fruitless, including the snowball of death will also be fruitless. There is no fruit in snowballs, but now he used to resurrect from his coffin, and I shall place a wall to block his escape so he cannot exit the gate. But I fail and place it behind the gate, not realizing, but don't bother to correct it, as I know the Easterners' attack of the Polynesians, which finishes him off once and for all. I hope that a wind seeker such as myself has given you greater knowledge of the world around you, but now is my time to depart, and leave you the choice to do whatever you want in the following seconds. Farewell.